Are you dreaming of a good night's sleep? Just like we all do. Automation is something that can get it to you. Because in e-commerce, it's a shop that is open 24/7, but if you do a great automation, you can just leave the processes do their job. So this is the topic we're going to talk about today, automation and sales, with two great guests from SEB Bank, Edward and Märten. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi. Baltic E-commerce Star Award podcast season 2 is up and running, and my name is Arnis Jacobson. And once again, we're doing and inviting guests from different companies, different fields that are related to e-commerce, and trying to give you value out of these discussions. So, as I mentioned, automation. This is something that SEB is doing quite a lot, and automation in different processes, different fields. And let's talk about the initial steps. For example, if I'm just a newbie, I'm starting a new e-shop, what could be some initial steps in this dream of automation and a good night's sleep?
Maybe even let's start from a bigger scale or thinking big. So just explaining our experience as well. But it all started, of course, from digitalization of the strategy of your company. Are you big or small? You have to have your strategy where you would like to reach. So in SEB, we want to be a leading retail bank in 2030. So who is leading bank in retail? Retail there, definitely it's very digitalized bank. And why? Because digitalization really enables us to meet our customers' expectations, first of all, to give them very personalized advice, and of course to do this kind of personalized sales as well. So at the beginning we thought how we could digitalize the bank more, and this is a narrative we started to build on. And as well, this decision was taken, of course, from the management side as well, and then it took time for some employees to really to believe into that, because organization of bank is very, very big. So for smaller companies, of course, this decision could be quicker, but I'm happy that we took this kind of decision, and Märten could really speak about the one very important bet what we took this automation part.
Yeah, and actually it's a good question where to start from, because for our kind of aim or the strategy fulfillment, it was important to understand where do we put the focus. Because you could probably automate everything, right? And even from a sales perspective, the range of things you could do is quite wide. So we kind of narrowed it down, and we understood that the lowest hanging fruit for us is actually not acquiring the new customers, which I think the majority of the effort on the market goes to, right? But we thought, okay, we already have millions of customers, how can we service those that are already with us? So that's all about the upselling, cross-selling, and also the retention of the customers. Yeah. So we decided to put majority of our focus there. Of course, we still do customer acquisition and try to automate as many of those experiences, but not only automate, but also personalize those experiences.
Yeah. And just to give the flavor as well, so currently we have around 2 million customers in the Baltics, and if we really would like to meet their expectations, meet them physically, that's impossible. So, but people are wanting this kind of very close relationship, or sometime as well, it's very hard to do. So we really bet was automation that we could like constantly be in the dialogue with all these 2 million customers.
But if we look in a smaller scale, for example, as I mentioned, if I'm just a starter and I want to automate something, and I really like that you mentioned about this retention, because, of course, it's always more cost-effective to retain clients than to gain new ones. Maybe there are some other strategies or maybe some challenges that we can talk about in this process itself, because I'm pretty sure it's a tough ride to automate processes for 2 million, but maybe some challenges that you can talk about and see.
Actually, one of those things you mentioned, sleeping well at night, or not worrying about doing anything, or not working at all, right? That's
the dream.
Unfortunately not the case, because what we have understood on the way is that there are certain processes, certain products, certain people who would like to actually have this human contact. So it is a marriage of automating and then being for the customer there when they actually need this, one-on-one interaction or human contact, right? It could be still through video or something, but if the customer has a tough decision to make, they really want to talk with a person not go through an automated process, however well it's built up.
Mm. Any other challenges or learnings you can share?
Challenge, of course, the biggest challenge is it is the data, because a bank is a big organization and you have so much different data that could you use, and how to bring it all together. I think this is a challenge for already for mid-size companies as well, not only very large ones, to how to build onto that data. And one bet that we took as well, I think, was this to use this behavior data in automation to really regarding the sales, to know what the customer needs and wants. One is you could really use a data science to predict what could be the beneficial products for the customer. But we have that already for years. But what we have done is the next step, to use the behavior data that we know that they are interested as well regarding these products or services, etc. So.
And how about the privacy? That everyone's concerned currently about the data, the privacy,
Exactly.
and GDPR.
And mostly our banks, I'm just telling that the most concerns are we are as a bank, because we are, the trust is a biggest like slogan of the bank, definitely, and our gold. So we have to really protect it, and this consent topic that definitely we are asking for our customers, the consent, and we are always really focusing to be fully compliant. That's not even a question. We are 10 times compliant usually, even sometimes maybe too strict in that area.
Over compliant
Even, yeah. We have to balance more, I think, in that area. Always to be compliant, but still not to lose this personal touch with the customers.
Yeah, and from the consumer perspective, it sometimes can give you a headache to agree everything, these terms, conditions, these policies, and then you lose the client itself because it's just too much consent to give.
Exactly. And one thing we have learned as well, and we have, of course, when I started with having a strategy, I think that's very important. Are you big or small? You have to really understand your customers as well regarding your industry. We know that from financial industry, they would like to see us a few times as possible. So what does it mean is, if we really communicate something to them, it really should be very thought through and very beneficial. So this part we are working a lot as well to identify what is this very, very beneficial part, and only focusing to that.
Another good learning on the go was that technology is not gonna solve problems for you. So technology is only enabling you to do whatever you want to do. And the golden rule we found out is that the team, the talent you have, as well as the processes you build around and the stuff you do with the technology makes the difference.
Exactly.
So how you utilize it, how you put it to work is the winning formula.
Yeah.
And this has been the challenge as well, of course. I think now it's a very good level, but we definitely struggled regarding that what is difference between the digital and digitalization. In our minds, at least, we have defined that digitization is taking this paper, making it digital, or, for example, taking one product of yours or process, making it exactly the same and digital. But this is not adding value. The real digitalization, when you put innovation in, you use this technology to make something easier for the customers. And we have this kind of failed story maybe to share as well. Not anymore so fail, but at that time we learned a lot from that. So already many years ago, we were one of the first to introduce onboarding as well via video. And then when we made this process of this video meeting, was that in the end this process could even be longer and with more clicks than coming to the branch, because you have to agree the time for the video which is suitable for you and for the bank, and then you have to test equipment, etc. Now it's easy. We are using different, already much more advanced technologies, but that time it really took more time to prepare for a customer. So
sometimes you need to be lucky, because although customers didn't pick up on it, the timing was great because we had COVID.
Yeah, and
so
everyone
customers really didn't have other choice but to use this quite cumbersome this experience.
Exactly.
Luckily, we were able to learn from it during the time, and as Edward said, ended up with building this mobile first, very easy few steps onboarding process.
Exactly. So the digitalization part is currently what the customer really needs and saves you a lot of time. Of course, is mobile self self-executing onboarding, that you don't have to wait when the client executive from the bank or some employees is willing to have a video call with you.
Yeah.
So,
And did these video calls were accidental because of the COVID, or
no,
was it planned already?
we started with that 8-9 years ago. I think we
okay.
were still a pioneer, so that time it was a great thing. So now we can analyze and look back that even that time it could have been done in a better way. But again, of course, we always have to know and be aware that if bank would like to introduce something innovative or new, there are so many rules from the governments and European Central Bank to really that we have to comply.
Okay. But let's get back to those smaller and medium-sized companies, because of course SEB is large corporation with lots of resources available. But are there any like suggestions or advice if I want to automate, for example, fulfillment of my product? Maybe some tools or any other advice for the listeners if they want to automate something?
Just before mention that I think the life for a smaller company is not so much harder regarding
It's just
automation.
different.
I'm
It's
just
just
telling you
different.
that we have a lot of resource, but in very big corporation there is
A lot of legacy.
Yeah.
Things takes time. So I think even for a smaller company, it's easier with less resources to automate than in the very big
Yeah.
and vast corporations. But
The risk is smaller.
risk is smaller. You can test and fail, and this culture would like to as well. Again, a learning point: how to make this culture that you could risk more, you could fail more. But of course, again, in the same time, you have to be so compliant and the customer data and all these kind of things.
Yeah.
Banks has to test everything like 1,000 times before releasing anything out.
Exactly. I really like the thing about the culture, the fail culture. I recently listened to this one interview with the water brand called Liquid Death, and they have in their DNA that if we fail, it's okay, we're moving on.
I love their brand. I have seen it,
Yeah,
and a very,
that's-
very cool one as
It's
well.
a crazy one. You wanted to add something?
No, I'm fully with Edward in that sense that if I even think about, let's say, technology as such, right, then majority of the e-commerce platforms, including the stuff that they use on the side, let's say, mailing platforms, etc., they have already, built-in CRMs. They have automations built in. You can even start using AI on those and so on and so forth. And of course, the restrictions, as Edward says, are less and less, or less than in for example, in the banking sector. But if I would now start again, and we started the same way, we started from looking at, we had a strategy, but we started looking from the customer's perspective. So where are the pain points for them? Why are they not coming to us? Why are they leaving us? Why are they dropping off? And understanding those things first, and then applying the right technology to it, right? So not using technology for the sake of technology, but to tackle those issues and fulfill your own strategy, right? So that has been the journey for us, and I think it's quite similar, or should be quite similar for a small or medium-sized e-commerce.
And just two ideas that came to my mind. I think definitely very important is to select very, very well who will be your partner regarding technological side, because that really will lead to you to success or to fail. I would say really that they will update their different platforms very frequently, etc. That you could really win a lot. So make this decision very smartly. Who you cooperate, who is your bet regarding that, and secondly, of course, is to build the teams. We created a little bit bigger team, of course. We are a bigger company, brought in from external a little bit some minds, but still mainly we raised them from ground.
I would even say that we were a bit of a startup, small
inside
or medium
of the bank
enterprise, because we started with Edward as just a two-man
two
band.
of us, yes.
Yeah.
And we had virtual teams. We used, and we still use, of course, other teams as well. And we are doing a great cooperation with loads of different teams in the bank. But our own team is only 16 FTEs, right? So it's not that big. If you consider that we have thousands.
Growing each time, each year, twice at least. So.
But it started as a startup. So
yes.
Once again, it boils down to the culture. Does it allow to be something like that?
Exactly, and you need some talents who are not they never take this failure as opportunity. Even in the end, you have to go through the walls. In the big organizations, the same. In the small, you have to really. I think it's the same. You have just another walls there. But this is very important to have this kind of talents who are never giving up. If they really believe in it, and others will trust. I think this was a second one, and building this culture inside of the team, and that these persons really focusing only to these things.
Okay.
Not to give them like 10 another big tasks, and this main task is then fading away. To have this focus, I think this is a learning as well.
And to fail, you need to test, right? So we have over 300 automations live in the Baltics, so that are running in the background, which are creating sales, helping customers,
onboarding,
all of that. So these are running in the background as we speak, right? So they're earning money, they're helping customers, but also at the same time, we have probably closed almost the same amount of journeys over the time, and iterated probably 10, 20x or more. Because we always test. We never have one version out to the customers. We have multiple versions, and you can have the brightest data scientists, you can have the brightest UX people, but customer votes with their feet. So if it didn't work, they're not going to pick it up. If it works, they're going to pick it up, and no one can 100% predict that without testing it on the customer.
Yes, and maybe bringing that in as well, that like started with the strategy, and then just telling that our vision is to be hyper personalized sales, and to really to be the best on that in the Baltic market as well. So using all the data to know when the customer need is arriving, and as well using AI as well to understand which kind of platforms and which channels it's best to, and even what timing of the day, etc. What hour to really to give this message to the customer, and how to what will be the follow-up messages, and which channels. This kind of mix. This is, I think, we would like to be in a world level of knowledge, and that we are building mainly inside of our team currently.
Yeah. Okay. At the beginning of the show, you mentioned that SEB has largely put focus on digital products, digital banking, and I think that could be our next topic about growing these digital sales and shifting from physical branches and physical location to digital platforms. So maybe you can share some thoughts and maybe some advice on the transition part. What are some of the great learnings from your side? Maybe if I'm a physical, I don't know, product, branch, whatever, how to transfer it to the digital world and how to grow these digital sales.
First of all, 80% of the customers are not coming to the branches anymore out of these 2 million.
Actually, I don't remember the last time I went to
exactly
a physical bank.
So what does it mean is that we have to be very good in our digital channels. But I wouldn't say that we are doing just transformation to go in digital only, because we really like this hybrid approach. What does it mean is that if the customers would like to reach us quickly, they know who to call. If the customers would like to meet us, they could come in some point. Are these points in every city or in the major cities in the future? Time will tell. But definitely we are not gonna lose this kind of face-to-face contact opportunity with the customers. So we see this as a competitive edge of us. But this transition have been already, I think, here for around 20 years, so it's nothing new. So we are trying to add a separate new flavor into that. Again, it comes to the data, how to use this digital data as well when the customer is coming to the branch. So we are doing two things. One is we're using this data to advise these customers as well, more smarter, that this employee of SEB in the branch knows so much more about the customer. This is one thing. Another thing is that we would like to give something back to society, to really to educate society to become more digital as well. So there are some groups of population as well who are not so digitally savvy. So how to help them? So when they are coming to the branch, we are as well helping them to learn the internet bank, the mobile app, how to apply things themselves, how to do transactions digital, etc. So we are like a little bit teaching them to become more digital as well.
Yeah.
And rarely is there a customer that never ends up in a let's say offline experience. Even if you haven't been to the branch, it's likely that you have made a call, right? Or maybe the bank has called you, right? So I think the key is this, everyone's talking about omni-channel experience, but what it actually means is that you are in sync with the different sides of the organization. Of course, it's easier when you're just starting up, but it's basically the same guys in the office who do everything from A to Z, right? But in a bank's environment, if we are sending something out, some piece of communication, automated sales activity, and the branch employee is not aware of it, and now let's say the customer calls says, hey, what about this thing you sent me? I don't understand it. And they don't have it, they don't see it, it's not going to fly. You're going to fail. Or maybe if, you send something out to the masses and all of a sudden there's an influx of calls to call center or people massively visiting a branch now, we need to have this dialogue. We need to be in sync.
Yeah, and this is, we did a podcast specifically about this omnichannel experience, and for some companies it's really hard to be in sync. And I had my own experience when I ordered something on Facebook or Instagram. I didn't remember, and they answered me, yeah, just go to the shop and everything will be there. But I went to the shop and nobody knew my order. So this omnichannel has its own struggles, and it's on paper it sounds easy to be everyone on sync, but practically sometimes it can be a struggle. But let's talk about the sales itself, and how can we grow these digital sales? Because if you start a new e-commerce shop, new venture, then probably it's the first thing you should think about, how to get the business in. Maybe you have any advice in this field as well, how to grow these sales.
I can give one example, which is from banking, but still I think applies to any e-shop as well, is a reoccurring visit, right? And in our terms, the reoccurring visit is two things. One, it's an example from I am already a private individual. I am super likely to also be a business customer of SEB, right? So now if you translate that to e-commerce, it might be, I bought the skis, I would now also buy the ski mask next time, right? Or whatever, another pair of skis, right? And the second one, and this is, I think, close to 75% of our customers who are who start a business account have already been a private banker with us as well. And the second example of that is that if now I lost my trail of thought. What was the second one?
It will come back.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, I can just tell that one thing as well is what we are focusing a lot, and we should even more to focus, is how to enhance this customer journey as well. When the customers already are in, how then to enhance this customer journey that we are not losing them meanwhile. And to really identify where they are lost, why they are lost, and to have constant analysis for this kind of thing. So I think banks didn't used to have these competencies at all, and that's, are you big or small, I think this is a focus area to enhance this, not to lose the customers, and bringing in, of course, we have many marketing activities to bring external customers in, but like Märten told as well, mainly we are focusing existing because we have just so many of them.
And that reminded me of the second topic, because it's exactly what Edward said, but building on it, that if I'm cared for, if I have a great experience throughout the whole customer journey, then I'm more likely to recommend this to, first of all, maybe my family, maybe then friends, maybe also bring my business in. So it's the same with e-commerce, right? So first of all, you might even not have the biggest marketing budgets and stuff, but the word of mouth will spread. And I guess those which are like super successful from day one usually have either something unique, like either the proposition is unique, or maybe the customer experience is like superb, right?
Yeah.
So doing some kind of random acts of kindness, for example, for customers, these are always shared, in social media, and then it's free publicity.
Yeah. That would be great to have random act of kindness from bank. Just
we can give one example of random act of kindness, which we have done as an automation. Yeah. So if a customer is in a higher tier product and basically overpays, we have an automation that says, hey, you don't need that tier product. come to a lower tier, you will save some money.
Okay, great.
So we do such things as well because it is about the relationship building. And now that customer, let's say if we were, let's say, milking that customer to say so, right? We would be he or she would be overpaying. Then later on, if he or she finds it out, that person would be super disappointed, very likely to leave us and give us bad publicity as well. So it's all about the long-term or short-term gains or pains, and we always try to look from the customer's perspective, from building the relationship perspective, not this one-off money in our pocket and whatever happens in the future, we don't care.
Exactly, and this is, I think, game changer that we both like to be in the business for 100 years more. So I think this is a mindset that we have as well, and that's this is as well that sometimes more digitally savvy people in our team even are thinking why things take so much time, and this is that we really control everything to be compliant with the risks and data, etc. Only then you can be in a business for 100 years more.
Yeah, I actually have seen these short-term addictions, short-term result addictions, rather than looking at the long-term growth. But adding a little bit about the customer and user experience, the one thing I've noticed while judging the e-shops this and some years previously is that people sometimes treat user experience and customer experience as there is some finish line to achieve, but in my mind there's no finish line. It's an ever evolving process, and you have to be at peace with that this process that we made, it will change sometime later on, and you just really have to have this mindset that this process is changing constantly. There's no finish line, and for some people it's a struggle.
It's a struggle, and as well from for some IT infrastructures it could be struggle as
Sure.
well. So how to make this the structure so like this flexible that you could really enhance this experience very easily. I think that will be a key for success as well.
And I think you need to start backing out from the promise you made in the beginning of the podcast, because it's a never-ending story, as you say.
Exactly.
It's a never finished product. And it's the same with automations. We constantly check how they're performing, how can we tweak them, because some things that were super successful, let's say a year ago, might not even work that well at all today, and we need to evolve. We need to not sleep, but improve those journeys every single day.
And just to maybe to put this information in as well, that how we are doing these automations currently is that our business people could do it. We don't need IT resources to make it happen, and this was a game changer. So the bottleneck always in this in the banks as well is the IT, how to make to get the resource to constantly enhance, and this is even impossible. So to find the partner whose technology you could use and you could edit these automations constantly.
Yeah, what I mean about the good night's sleep is about being at peace that everything you do is work in progress and it will never stop, because you're just running to the finish line, but you'll never really achieve this.
Absolutely,
There's always work in progress.
And then you have to really be happy about the small wins as well, but you're again.
Yeah, you always have to celebrate these small victories. They are the motivators to move forward.
Exactly. Maybe one this kind of learning to give as well, just keeps coming, is that what we have done as well. We have we have met with different companies in the Baltics who are doing this kind of automations as well. Just said to them, we would like to meet just to share between ourselves. We are not competitors. That what you are doing, what we are doing, what have been our learning. So I really encourage everybody to meet other little companies as well, or smaller ones, doesn't matter, to get inspiration and to share.
And sometimes even it crystallizes for yourself what you're doing, because you're telling the story to someone who is listening. And we've met telcos in each of the countries, e-commerce players, and I think e-commerce and banking have a lot in common, surprisingly a lot in common actually, and then also tourism companies, etc., etc. So it's very good to do those knowledge sharings. And
maybe you have some case studies that you can share from your clients. without mentioning them, of course.
Hey, what I can mention, just adding to the Märten, that you could meet as well not only local players, but to go abroad as well. So we went to London, for example, to meet their TransferWise and the other big banks as well, not only fintechs, just to get inspiration, and we of course shared our story and learnings as well. Just to add that part.
Well, I can share one. There was this one big, it was one of the biggest banks in the UK. And we were in the beginning of thinking how to do advice in mobile for our customers, but we had a very sales-driven focus. And they had gone through a similar journey a few years before us. And they also started with, it's going to be 80% sales and then 20% advice or loyalty or something like that. And within 1 year, they switched it the other way around. So now it's 80% advice and loyalty driven stuff and 20% sales driven. And they said they have the same amount of journeys out for customers, but they earn more money because customers are less resistant to what is being offered by that bank. And they kind of, actually buy more from the bank through this advisory because it feels more natural and good, and they feel they're making the decision, not someone is saying buy it.
And then they really open the messages.
Also true.
Yeah. And bank is doing two parts, like these digital sales, and then there's those sales that are in person, so basically a hybrid sales perspective. What are some strategies or maybe some tactics to grow this hybrid sales as well? Maybe you have some advice or some recommendation on this? Or should we close all the in-person ones and fully focus to digital?
No. Like I told, that we would like to have combination, because I think this is a real benefit that not naming the names, but I think many of us have felt that with some very big startups or tech companies, that if something is going wrong and we'd like to contact them, please give my money back, or that experience was so bad that in the bank it's easy. You have call center open 24/7. In future, of course, we're gonna have that as well. Additionally, we'll automate a lot with we have chatbot, of course, already. Chat firstly was, now we have chat, but we will have as well voice definitely in the future. You could so that in that area we're investing heavily as well.
And as Edward said, it's not about one or the other; it's combining those. Yes. So just giving an example, we we used to do cold calling in certain areas. So you still need to do it every now and then. And cold calling usually has, less than a 1% success rate, right? So you have a list and then you call and most of them say, no, go away, I don't want you. So what we started doing is reusing the data we're already using in the journeys and then building the calling list based on that data. So we pick up things from customers that, they have given us consent on, and the success rate was 20 times better. 20x. It wasn't a small improvement, but why it works, it's relevant now for the customers, because previously it was, us trying to shove something down their throats. Now it is us picking up on the breadcrumbs that they're actually giving us. They are showing with their behavior that actually they are in need of that product. So yeah, this is like a good example of combining best of two worlds. And then, of course, there are, I think, benefits also from this completely offline experience, because there are customers who either haven't given a consent or haven't given any data with their behavior or otherwise. And then you still need the natural good salesmanship that, the employees will have.
An advisory part as well, because we as a bank, it's not about only sales, but really how to give this additional value with advisory. Would like to be identified as an advisory bank, definitely. So investing lots into that area for digital advisory, of course, and but as well at human to human advisory as well.
Yeah, I like this advising perspective, because sometimes the clients don't really need some products specifically. So advising what's the best outcome, the best personalized product, in my mind, that's a great long-term
And just to add that, I think as well, we shouldn't be, at least I'm thinking that only to advise what kind of product to buy, but to even give this kind of valuable information that this is not giving us more sales or income, to help customers to save more, to encourage them these new behaviors and investing, for example, for themselves for the future. This kind of, so it shouldn't be only product related, but really giving something back to the customer, helping them in their very important choices, for example, etc.
And we're fully aware that the customer never thinks actively about a bank, not their own, not no one else's, and we understand that also if they don't think about us, then it's hard to make the relationship.
Of course.
So even if at the end of the day you want to do more sales, and this might be your only goal, let's say, as e-commerce player, then focus also on the other things, because you still might need to have the conversation with the customer for them to feel loyal, or at least acknowledge that you're there.
Yeah, exactly.
So especially if you're a newcomer on the market, you don't have this well-known brand name, then
you have to build trust.
You can build the trust through not selling, but here's good information for you, here's some insights of your behavior, stuff like that.
And I encourage to have this hybrid approach as well for small companies, to have your own shop physically somewhere as well, what you could really good for a marketing and for customer relationships, and not only bringing the digital on, to have this kind of hybrid approach. I think if done very in a creative way, I think it could really add value.
Yeah,
it's probably without no, there is a trend. You can see that big e-commerce players are opening physical shops all over the place, right? Even
and
those
vice
who have
versa as well. Yeah, that's a cute trend now currently.
Yeah.
Yes,
and some of them are big fails, of course.
But you never know.
You have to test it again and see,
and do it right.
Yeah. So time is running out quickly, but some thoughts on wrapping up everything. I really like the thing that you mentioned about building the culture around these testing and playing fields, because you have to test everything, and some of the things will work, some of them don't, but you have to be at peace that how the things will play out. And about automation, 300 automations currently and 300 automations already closed. That's, in my own perspective, quite a lot, but it really shows the determination of you guys pushing through and making things work. About digital and hybrid sales, if you have the opportunity, be physically available. That's one thing I'm pretty sure will work out. But is there anything I didn't ask you guys, and do you want to add anything else? Or maybe some wish or advice for our e-commerce participants this year?
Yeah, well, just advice is to find all the time that you should have at least one, even small or big, this kind of one expert you really trust, who have this passion regarding that. The passion is much bigger than the major motivator is not the salary, but really to succeed and to learn, etc. And then you find that person and you have good cooperation, you will be successful.
Yeah. Anything else?
I just wanted to add that it's not 300 automations. It's probably 300,000 or even more automations, but it's 300 journeys. And a journey can consist of variations, different channels, etc. So that's what's cooking in the background. It's never as simple as it seems. Some of our journeys are super complex. And the more complex they are, the easier or the likelier they're to fail as well. Which again, as we say, might be actually a good thing.
Yeah.
So always count some failures as blessings in disguise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And have a diverse team. So we have a very diverse team, and I'm very thankful to our super team in our digital banking, because we have, it really adds value. And we are one Baltic as well, but we are as one family, I would say.
Okay. So in the closing, I think you have to keep this work in progress mindset and just push through all the learnings, and you have to celebrate the victories as well. My name is Arnis Jacobson, and today with me was Edward and Märten from SEB Bank. This was yet another podcast episode for Baltic E-commerce Awards. Stay tuned and see you on some other episodes. Bye.